The dust in the Cinema Paradiso was a century thick, a golden haze that swam in the projector's beam. For Leo, the third-generation owner, the grand old movie palace wasn't just a business. It was a living, breathing entity, its velvet seats holding the ghosts of a million laughs and gasps. But the symphony of whirring projectors and collective wonder was fading, replaced by the deafening silence of empty rows and mounting debts. Subscribe to my channel and like it. His last-ditch effort was a desperate one: host a modern art exhibition to pay the bills. The artist, a woman named Elara, arrived not with canvases, but with hard drives and a disconcerting quiet confidence. She created digital experiences, immersive, abstract visuals meant to be projected onto the cinema's vast screen. Their first meeting was a study in contrasts. Leo, in his worn tweed jacket, smelled of old film and nostalgia. Elara, in minimalist black, smelled of ozone and the future. "Your films are beautiful, Mr. Rossi," she said, her eyes scanning the ornate ceiling. "But they're ghosts. Ideal in the now, the pulse of the present." "And ideal in forever," Leo countered, gesturing to the shelves of carefully cataloged film canisters. "These stories are timeless. Your now will be obsolete in a year." Subscribe to my channel and like it. The installation week was a Cold War. Elara demanded the Historia projector be removed for her high-lumen digital beamer. Leo refused, a line drawn in the sand of his family's legacy. They communicated through terse notes left on the vintage concession counter. He thought her art was soulless. She thought his was a museum piece, stubbornly refusing to die. The turning point came during a late-night test of her equipment. A sudden, violent storm, a true temporale, crashed over the city, and a power surge fried her main server. The cinema was plunged into a profound, inky blackness, the kind only a windowless palace from 1921 could achieve. Frustrated, Elara fumbled in the dark. Then a soft, warm light bloomed. Leo stood there with an old, gilded usher's lantern. "The fuses are from another era," he said, his voice echoing in the cavernous space. "Like me." In the intimate pool of lantern light, the tension dissolved. He didn't gloat. Instead, he led her up to the projection booth, a sacred space she hadn't been allowed to enter. He showed her the heart of his world, the massive, intricate 35mm projectors, their lenses like the eyes of a gentle giant. "Each of these," he said, running a hand over a cool metal housing, "has a personality. This one has a slight flicker like a nervous heartbeat. That one runs smooth as silk." He threaded a reel of a silent Buster Keaton comedy. As the images flickered to life on the giant screen, illuminated only by the projector's beam and the lantern, something magical happened. Elara, the high priestess of the digital, watched the silent, black-and-white poetry and found herself laughing, then moved to tears by the sheer, universal humanity of it. "My art makes people think," she whispered, her eyes glued to the screen. "Yours makes them feel." He looked at her, truly looked at her, and saw not an adversary, but a kindred soul searching for connection. "Perhaps," he said softly, "they are not so different." Their hands found each other in the dark, not as a clash, but as a meeting. The kiss that followed was slow and profound, tasted of dust and potential, a silent film of its own, speaking volumes in the quiet. The storm outside passed, but the one that had calmed inside the cinema had given way to a gentle, steady rain of new understanding. Leo and Elara's relationship unfolded not with grand declarations, but in the quiet, focused energy of a shared mission. The cinema became their laboratory. By day, Elara worked on her digital art, but now she often paused to watch Leo as he meticulously cleaned film frames or repaired a spool. By night, he sat with her, fascinated by the world she built with code, offering a storyteller's perspective on the emotional flow of her abstract visuals. Their physical connection deepened this newfound partnership. The first time he led her to his small, book-lined apartment above the cinema, it felt like the most natural transition. Surrounded by the scent of old paper and the distant, comforting hum of the city, they learned each other. His hands, so skilled and patient with fragile film, were equally reverent with her. He explored the landscape of her body with a curator's care, as if she were a rare and precious masterpiece. For Elara, whose world was one of concepts and algorithms, his touch was a grounding, a return to the physical, the tangible. Their lovemaking was a silent, intense dialogue, a mutual discovery that left them both feeling profoundly seen and understood. The threat arrived in the form of a sleek, impersonal letter from a development conglomerate. They had bought the building's debt and were calling it in. The Cinema Paradiso was to be demolished to make way for a multi-story car park. The offer to Leo was a pittance, a dismissal of his life's work. He was shattered, the fight draining from him. "It's over," he said, the letter trembling in his hand. "They always win. Progress, they call it." Elara took the letter, her face set in determined lines. "No," she stated, her voice firm. "Not this time. This isn't progress, it's erasure." She waged a war he could never have fought. Using her tech savvy and understanding of modern media, she launched a viral campaign, #SaveTheParadiso. She created stunning videos contrasting the timeless beauty of the cinema's interior with the sterile proposal for the car park. She contacted film historians, directors, and actors who had loved the place, gathering a chorus of influential voices. Leo, though uncomfortable in the spotlight, became the campaign's heart. He gave interviews, his quiet, passionate love for the cinema proving more powerful than any corporate rhetoric. He spoke not of property, but of memory, of community, of the magic that happens when people share a story in the dark. The final hearing was a showdown. The developers presented slick economic models. But then Leo played his trump card. A short film Elara had helped him create, a montage of the cinema's history, intercut with testimonials from patrons, their faces glowing with nostalgia. It ended with a simple question: do we build a place for cars to wait, or do we preserve a place where souls can dream? They won. The cinema was granted protected heritage status. Weeks later, the Paradiso was alive with the sound of a packed house for a special double feature, one of Elara's digital pieces, followed by a restored silent classic. After the cheering subsided, Leo led Elara to the now empty projection booth. "You didn't just save bricks and mortar," he said, his voice thick with emotion, his hand gently cupping her face. "You saved the soul inside them. You saved my soul." He didn't get down on one knee. Instead, he led her to the main projector. Taped to its side was a small, framed strip of 35mm film. She leaned closer. It was a single sequence from the Buster Keaton film they had watched that first night. The frame where he, against all odds, finally gets the girl. "Elara," Leo whispered, "you are my happy ending. You are the missing reel I never knew my story needed. Will you keep this story running with me? Forever?" Tears streamed down Elara's face, the digital artist utterly, joyfully conquered by the most analog of proposals. Her yes was lost in their kiss, a perfect, silent final scene under the warm glow of the projector's lamp. The great machine standing as a silent witness to a love story more timeless than any it had ever shown.